We'll have an invitation for public comment. We'll start with you.
Audio difficulties with Zoom recording. Audio difficulties with Zoom recording. Audio difficulties with Zoom recording.
And review of our COVID testing and vaccination, some end of year activities, capital projects, FOIA requests.
Audio difficulties with Zoom recording. 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 Audio difficulties with Zoom recording.
This year was a very unique year in school board history, and you were a part of something very special. You gave us a really important viewpoint, the student viewpoint, as we discussed really serious things that did not have easy answers, things that were outside the realm of any educational decisions, I think it's safe to say. And you gave us a really important perspective, and each one of you brought something unique to the table. We were very honored that you chose to spend part of your senior year with us and helping us and contributing to the work that we do. As you can see, these are skills that will probably carry forward in your lives, having to make really difficult decisions, consider competing priorities, and look to facts and data to guide, and having a mission like what's best for students always at the forefront when you make these difficult decisions. So congratulations to you for your very hard and very appreciated work. Would anybody like to add any comments as we honor our outgoing student board reps?
I would. I was part of the team that interviewed you guys when you were all interested in this position, and it has been a real pleasure to watch you grow this year, watch you really grow into this experience, and learn as you went along. And I wish you all the best as you move on from here. I think the skills that you've learned by doing this will serve you well as you move on to your next chapter. So thank you for your time and your energy, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you.
And I just wanted to say thank you for your professionalism and your grace, because there were a lot of times where there were heated debates going on, and you stuck around, and anytime we had a question, you became de facto board members. You contributed, we relied on you, and we're grateful. Thank you.
Well said. Anybody else?
And I would just add before we read names, and then we're going to have Mrs. Hessel give you a plaque, and then we want to get a picture when we're done. Mary has reminded us that we have to be appropriately distanced for that picture, so she will make sure that we do that. But I would like to say, you know, one of the joys of the years I've been here as a superintendent has been talking with all of you over the years. And I would echo everything that Lisa said and Casey said and Don said, and the rest of us are thinking with you. But what a blessing to have the opportunity to work with all of you and have you on the board. And I sincerely mean that. And I could not have gone out at the end of my tenure here with a better group of student school board representatives. I will tell you, and I think I know I can speak for Dr. Gilliam and Dr. Kalentis and Dr. Grudy, that one of the things we really missed this year was having lunch with you once a month and having the opportunity to do that. But as Mr. Carmichael said, you know, you attending all of those meetings and being part of that was meaningful. And more than that, it was helpful in the board's decision-making and our reflecting from a student board point and then viewpoint. And then during the year, your updates about how it was going, you know, when we finally were able to move back to hybrid half day and testing and all of the things. When we went to full, those things were all very impactful for us. So you made a difference, and that's about as good as it gets. So thank all of you for your time and your service and your many hours with us. You're really appreciated, and you're certainly going to be missed. And our new reps coming in, you know, we're looking forward to meeting you, and you're going to have a great experience with Mrs. Hassel and Dr. Herman as she comes in, and working with Dr. G and Dr. K and the board. It's going to be really cool, and you're going to be great. So with that said, Lisa, I think we have the plaques in order there. So I'll read the names, and then why don't you come up here, and I don't know, Mary, if you want to spread them out how you want us to go. So from Vernon Hills High School, Diego Corrales. And Eva Otu. Get a picture of you, Diego. And Kayla Rubin. And from Libertyville High School, Amal Hassan. Quinn Curlin.
I was checking that out.
And Marilyn Yu.
While you're assembling the picture, I would just like to add that this group of board reps was precedent setting this year, not only in the service you provided during a pandemic, but your service on a greater than usual number of committees,
Right.
where each of you contributed really positive student voice to help us come to some important decisions. The Reopening School Task Force, the Calendar Committee, and recently the Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Policy. Your service on those committees has really shaped the future of the district for many years to come. So thank you for that.
You're here.
We just let Mary guide us, so.
Quinn goes back a step because he's tall.
Also tall compared to me. It's almost like we could stand in front of them, Lisa, so it'd be okay. Come on, you guys. We can do one here, and then let's bring you guys in. So let's get a picture. We're in no hurry here. Are you guys? They see a smile at the water. Right?
It's the look of relief.
Okay, so next we have our student school board representatives for the 21-22 school year. So we're going to call your name and ask you to stand up. And of course, if you want to say anything, that's fine. We'd love to hear that, but not required. So up to you. So from Libertyville High School, Faith Davidson. remain standing, and then we can give you all a round of applause. John Graham. Ryan McGrory. Hills High School, Sophia Gonzalez Bernier. Kang. Kevin Schumacher.
Kevin's not here. He's
Playing volleyball.
Good.
He's in the
Okay,
midst
so
of a-
Kevin's at volleyball tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, let's welcome all of you.
Sitting in the hallway out there. I can't.
Oh, is that
He is
Kevin?
right here.
Here comes Kevin.
Standing and watching. Standing.
They won.
He ran hard. Thank you for the hustle.
Okay, so anybody want to say anything? Any words of wisdom to share tonight?
I think that's a lot of pressure for our
Okay.
new student board reps. I think we'll let them observe
Just
their,
wanted to give you the opportunity. Okay,
so we're going to give them a chance to observe the outgoing student board reps and show them how it's done, guys.
all right, thank you.
To begin our report for the last time, we're going to speak about Honors Night. On Monday, May 10th, Vernon Hills High School held Honors Night. Students who received an award were able to attend in person with 2 guests, and the event was also broadcasted online. As a student who was in attendance, it was exciting to see all my classmates and cheer them on through their successes. The anticipation amongst the students was high because many had no idea what awards or scholarships they had won. Following the awards ceremony, we took the opportunity to applaud this year's retirees, such as Dr. Lee and Mr. Maselli. In a nutshell, Honors Night was a success and a great time for the Vernon Hills community to come together. Our students are excited to present their artist work in a couple of different avenues during the last couple of weeks of school. You can check out this year's online CSL Conference Art Show. 11 schools are in our conference, and each school is represented by 55 pieces. Some really awesome artwork to look at, especially Vernon Hills. The link to the virtual art show is on our website, and many of the actual works can be found in our foyer starting later this week and heading into our weekend fine arts event. Congratulations to all the talented artists who have added to the show. On Sunday, May 16th, Vernon Hills High School held the 2nd annual senior parade. Seniors were able to decorate their cars and wear their college gear to represent any of their future plans. Students were also able to pick up their caps and gowns, honors and NHS cords, and other gifts. There were also photo opportunities and surprises from the CRC, the HHS, and the fire department. Along the parade routes, students were able to wave and greet teachers and families. On behalf of the senior class, we're thankful for the opportunities we've had to get together and look forward to graduation. The senior parent group will be hosting a drive-in movie at the Sullivan Community Center this Sunday, May 23rd at 7:30 p.m. All seniors are welcome to attend. Please look out for the Sign Up Genius link in order to RSVP. On to Kayla.
Okay. VH2O Zero Waste Day. This event is taking place on Thursday the 20th. VH2O is holding a zero waste trial in which VH2O club members will help students divide their lunch trash into different bins, such as compost, landfill, and recycle, in order to combat climate change. If students don't know where to put something, they will ask the club members and they will help out. VH2O is hoping this will be an easy and stress-free task in order to implement the bins into all lunches next year. On May 3rd, Dr. Herman visited VHHS and was able to speak with student leaders like ourselves and staff members. We spoke about our school culture, the student body, and what we loved about our school. We also spoke about what next year may look like for students in terms of in-person learning and how she can help make those transitions back into school easy for students. Today, my mom volunteered at VHHS to help sign students into their vaccines appointment. She said most of the people coming in today were 12 to 15-year-olds, as the CDC just opened vaccines up to them. She said the system went very smoothly by checking the students in and getting each of them the vaccines. By the way, there was a decent amount of kids who wanted vaccines. Yay. But a drawback was that she had to turn some away because they didn't have all the forms they needed. Another problem was that parents signed up the kids with their name rather than the student's name. She said that students were extremely excited to get their vaccine and no one was scared. Overall, she feels like the vaccination process went well. AP exams have started. Students have their choice of 3 different testing dates. Many are waiting to do the 2nd or 3rd date, so it's as soon as possible to get as much review time as possible. VHS has sent many emails telling students what their AP exams are, how to log into the AP digital testing browser, and the steps to take prior to the exam. If students need help with logging in, please contact your teachers and check out the e-province for more details. Now on to Diego.
Mine's going to be a little brief tonight. Big thing is more word on Mr. Maselli, Jerry Maselli, our #1 retiree this year, who's a big role model of mine. I just really wanted to take and use this platform to honor him. I could sit here and talk about him for an hour, but like I said, he is someone that's impacted me and so many students on a daily basis. He really goes above and beyond to just ask us about our day in a way so many teachers, it's not that they don't, but they can't. He makes the time to walk with you to the next class, to get up there a little early and say, hey, you want to bring some Dunkin', we can eat together. This is a guy who countless students have so many positive things to say about him. And I'm sure many of you in this room who've been a part of this community for so long, just like he has, 20 plus years, have many amazing memories and things to say about him as well. And if he's listening, I really want to extend a really big thank you and congratulations for him retiring this year. And in terms of my update, the 14th, we had the Fine Arts Award, at least for band, and award ceremony for band and orchestra. There were numerous awards per each division, about 4 or 5 awards per. I actually won the Director's Award there, and a bunch of my peers who I've been in music with since I was very young won numerous awards as well. It was a really special, super wholesome event, and it was in person. We got to hear some performers on stage, and that was just magical. It's been so long that I've even been in the auditorium, and I'd like to thank Dr. Gilliam and just the whole administration for letting that happen and just to make it happen to hear music in the halls of Vernon Hills again. That's really all I have, and I'm going to turn it over to Libertyville now for their report.
Okay, so we collected some feedback regarding COVID vaccinations that occurred at LHS this past couple of weeks. So all students we talked to stated that the max time they were in the main gym was around 20 minutes, and that included the 15-minute waiting period. Check-in was quick and easy, and the shot was painless. All students expressed how efficient it was and how kind and caring Nurse Trout and individuals in Passport Health were during the vaccination period. Another shout out to Passport Health again for being so helpful and kind since January, because I personally met some of the kindest people who work for Passport Health at LHS during my COVID testing. So thank you for always keeping our schools safe. As many more students get vaccinated, students are being asked to submit a picture of their CDC vaccination card for school immunization records and to be able to stop their COVID test. So personally, admittedly, I have procrastinated uploading mine for at least 2 weeks now, but I did it last night and it actually took me 30 seconds. So should have done that earlier because it helps the school's numbers and creates a safer learning environment. As the year comes to a close, many clubs have been holding club elections for executive board and leadership positions. Student council elections for class board and executive board are being held a bit differently this year. All students, including STUCO and non-STUCO members, are invited to fill out an application for a leadership position. The main questions include submitting a video of yourself answering the question about how you as a student have been doing and how you are going to portray those values in the upcoming school year. Voting opens this week. NHS Executive Board voting also has begun, and the winners will be notified tomorrow. Student Council Spirit Packs have also been completed, so next year's Spirit Pack includes 4 t-shirts and 1 crew neck for accounting for 5 home LHS football games. I'm optimistic for class of 2022 and hopes for an almost normal senior year. Spirit Packs go on sale beginning of summer and will be passed out in August. Senior Decision Day CRC celebrations was such a blast. By the end of the 2 days, the senior map was filled with almost all seniors post-secondary pursuit decisions. The farthest someone at LHS is going is 4,491 miles to Franklin University in Switzerland. Farther than the seniors who will be attending school. Okay. So some seniors will be attending schools in the Netherlands, England, Scotland, and Spain. This month, Drops of Ink issue will include the senior list with almost all senior final decisions. The main question is, though, will colleges be requiring the COVID vaccine for on-site school attendance? Many colleges such as Notre Dame, Loyola, UMich, Berkeley, Cal Poly, UC Irvine, and 16 other colleges have already mandated the vaccine for attendance for all incoming and current students.
All right, thanks, Amal. Spring and summer sports are in full swing, and unlike winter sports, spring sports are able to have state playoffs. A high school highlight is senior track athlete Ethan Richter, who recently placed first place for discus who threw 172 feet and 10 inches. Additionally, the girls soccer team is currently ranked 12th in state. Congrats to that team. Prom is this Saturday, and high school spirits and energy is super high right now, as upperclassmen are looking forward to this exciting day. That being said, all prom attendees must have a negative COVID test from this week or must be fully vaccinated after a 12-day waiting period to be allowed to enter the prom. With these safety mitigations, we can ensure prom will be safe, healthy, and fun. Senior Awards Night, visual webinar presentation is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. This presentation will highlight any individual who has either won an school award or won a school-sponsored scholarship from LHS. Congrats to all Honors Night attendees. We are looking forward to seeing the presentation tomorrow. For Green Dot, there was a digital wellness day on May 5th where Leanne Tam and Catherine Tommy facilitated a lunch hour forum on social media and mental health. On May 19th, 8 seniors are planning and organizing a freshman leadership academy set up for this year's freshmen with valuable leadership skills for future years LHS. These freshmen will hopefully be given tips and tricks to lead their grade and the school even through their freshman year in different sorts. With graduation on May 27th, the seniors must attend graduation practice on May 26th at 9 a.m. After graduation, seniors will be able to have one last fun day. Seniors have been signing up for the kickball tournament to play against other seniors. If you don't want to play, high school seniors can hang out on the freshman football field and the softball fields, hang out with friends, eat breakfast, and even play some field games. The senior banners are up in downtown Libertyville, and the senior banners look so good. It's so exciting to drive up and down downtown Libertyville and see myself and my friends. Thank you to Mr. Connell, Parent Cats, and Mrs. Ulix for making this happen.
So lastly, for fine arts and a couple other updates, the final spring band concert will be held tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. in the LHS Stadium. Those who wish to attend in person purchase tickets throughout the past week. And for remote students, as well as those who are not able to attend in person, there will be a live stream link to view the concert. And this is honestly a bittersweet moment for senior band students, including me. And I would really like to emphasize how exceptional our band and fine arts program really is. Personally, being able to perform at district, super state, and as the first chair all-state pianist and flutist in our wind ensemble throughout the past few years has been life-changing. And there are no other words to describe the joy and satisfaction of producing the most emotional and moving music with a group of high-caliber musicians. The LHS Choir Department is performing their spring concert on Monday, May 10th and Tuesday, May 11th. And each of the 4 choir classes will have a YouTube live stream performance, so good luck to those students. The spring play Shrek was live streamed on May 13th through 15th at 7:30 to viewers who purchased tickets, and it was a huge success. After speaking with Drew Benoit, a senior in the LHS theater program, he said that it was a challenging experience that really pushed the theater department to its limits. But we made it through and put together a wonderful show that I was very proud to be a part of. I'm very happy to have been part of LHS theater these past 4 years, and the experiences and people have been some of the best in my life. Congratulations to all who participated in the show. Today is International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. LHS students and staff wore red today in support of the members of the LGBTQ+ community at LHS. And lastly, AP tests have been taking place, and tests such as AP Literature are taking place tomorrow, and other tests in the second window administration will continue throughout the last few weeks of May. Students have been completing exam setups on the College Board app on their Chromebooks to prepare for the exam 1 to 3 days in advance. Good luck to all AP test takers. And this completes the last LHS and VHHS board reports, but now we would like to say a few thank yous to the members of our community and board.
I would like to thank the board for this opportunity. I was impressed by each meeting to see how much planning and effort goes into every single meeting. It makes me proud to be a part of this community. Specifically, I would like to thank Dr. K for everything he's done for the LHS representatives and the community of Libertyville High School. I can say confidently, since he started when I was a freshman, he's improved the high school in so many ways. I can't wait to see what you do in the future, and I can't wait to visit after I graduate.
Okay, so just to focus on Dr. K for a little more, there's a reason why LHS is so great, and obviously we have an amazing student body and a phenomenal staff. But our school is truly one of a kind because of Dr. Clonis. His positive energy radiates through the hallways, and his open arms of inclusivity truly allows everyone to feel like they have a home at LHS. His ability to connect with students on a personal level and to talk for solutions and provide reassurance is something so special. Never once has he told us about issues to discuss at board meetings. He let us be student leaders and listen to what we had to say to always improve our school. Our school is such a special place because of him, and we are so lucky to be under your leadership and guidance. We will all miss you.
I agree with everything Amal and Quinn have said, and I also consider myself lucky to say that I can stop by my principal's office whenever I want and talk with him, not only about the issues I see prevalent in our school, but also any issues in my life that I need guidance with. I'm sure every other LHS student can say the same. Dr. K, thank you for being so open to any situation at hand and for listening and making time for us, even when you have so many other tasks at hand. I really appreciate it. You are not only an exceptional mentor and principal, but also a great friend. On behalf of Quinn, Amal, and I, we would also like to thank Dr. G for endlessly supporting his students and staff in Vernon Hills. Without you two, our experiences as Board of Education representatives would not have been possible. Thank you again. And now to the VHHS board reps for statements on Dr. G.
Without Dr. G, the three of us wouldn't be here today or quite frankly present for the last 12 months. Dr. G was able to bring the three of us together to not only have the honor to present a report every month, but to witness the discourse and magic that makes D128 so great. We've shared many laughs, many talks, and you've just been such a mentor and such a kind person to talk to, and you're very approachable. Thank you, Dr. G, for guiding us and believing in us.
Dr. G, thank you for being an amazing coworker. Kinda. I mean, you're kind of a coworker. And mentor and overall great principal. You have made my past year of VHHS a great one, even though it's been difficult to say the least. I'm so glad you allowed me to always express my opinions and made me feel welcome. I'm truly going to miss you, our weekly meetings, and our talks about life itself. I really loved learning not just about the board, but also you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Dr. Gilliam has been both a mentor and a friend to the three of us. Not only is he a leader within our school and community, but is someone we can look up to on a personal level. I'll always be grateful for this opportunity he's given us and the time and effort he's put into making it an amazing experience. Similarly, I'd like to thank Dr. Culentes. We are so fortunate to have the two of you as our principals. Additionally, I'd like to thank the district administration as a whole. Every member of our district administration has gone above and beyond in their service to District 128. This is not news, nor is it something they expect praise or recognition for. They do the best they can to ensure we receive top-notch education and opportunities. They're very much like parents working behind the scenes with the purest of intentions, getting little love and often heavy criticism instead. Dr. Fisher, Mrs. Kelly, Mrs. Toderick, everyone here today, thank you. From the detailed and meticulous work on the equity policy and thoughtful acknowledgement of public comment month after month, none of your titanic efforts have gone unnoticed.
Thank you, Diego. And I would like to say thank you to our previous board of education members and the new ones. If there's one thing I realized this year, it's that being a leader of this community is a far from easy task. On behalf of the 6 board reps, although some members of the previous board are not here, we would like to sincerely thank Dr. Grudy, Mrs. Rooney, Mrs. Lundstedt, Mrs. Hessel, Mr. Huber, Mr. Carmichael, and Mr. Batson for their immeasurable work. They ensured that students, staff, and community members felt safe throughout the process of transitioning to hybrid and full in-person learning, while also continuing to give students the best quality education. Echoing Diego's previous statement about the district administration, the work of the board members does not go unnoticed. It is evident that this job is complex, time-consuming, and stressful, but regardless, the board members took on these tasks while facing harsh criticism from the community. I recall earlier in the school year when there were several changes made to the e-school schedule, as well as the hybrid learning start date. And although these changes seemed hectic, every morning when I joined class, my teachers and classmates immediately adapted to the situation without complaint and were ready to go, because we knew and respected the fact that our board was working day and night for our community. To the previous board members, your work was and is highly appreciated. To the new board members, I wish you the best, and I'm confident that you will continue the previous board's outstanding legacy. And overall, I would just like to thank everyone in this room and not in this room for this year. This is a really great opportunity for students just to be a part of such a professional environment and giving our opinions. I got the chance to work with the health and safety group last summer, and I'd like to thank Mr. Stanley, our assistant superintendent for finance, for listening to my opinions and just for listening to everyone. It was a great experience. So thank you again.
Okay, last one. Finally, on behalf of the student body, the 6 of us would like to thank and honor Dr. Lee for his immense work and dedication towards all students. As we stated before, Dr. K and Dr. G have touched the lives of countless students, but they wouldn't be here without you, Dr. Lee. So first, for that, we thank you. It has been an honor and privilege to hear you talk about sophisticated district manners with such a profound understanding. But what's so special was you always had students' best interests in mind. It was evident through every board meeting. Our district and us students have been so lucky to have you as our superintendent. Thank you for valuing our voices and allowing us to be heard. You will be sorely missed. And to Dr. Herman, I think I can speak on specifically Diego and I, but also many other students that we are excited to welcome you into our district. With the amazing work of Dr. Lee and our district administration, our district is one of a kind, but one where all individuals consistently see improvements and work upon them. Every individual here holds a growth mindset with the interest of us and our classmates in mind. We are all excited to see you build upon Dr. Lee's phenomenal accomplishments and legacy and to fill his big shoes. I don't know, she's not here tonight, but just if she was. You are the next big step forward, and I'm excited to see the future of District 128 with you. Again, Dr. Lee, thank you for everything. You'll be truly missed by us all. Once again, congratulations to the new District 128 Student Board representatives. We're excited to see all you accomplish next year. And one last time, this concludes the LHS and VHHS Student Board Report for the 2020 to 2021 school year. Thank you.
Well done. That will conclude the president's report. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words and for your excellent work. You will be missed. This is the point at the board meeting where we invite our student board reps to stay if they wish, but if for whatever reason they have work to do or they need to get home for whatever it is, you are welcome to make your exit. Now would be the time if that's what you'd like to do. But we would love to have you stay and hear what a typical board meeting is all about. I can't promise anything, and this might be the kiss of death, but I don't think it's going to be a terribly late meeting tonight. So I know I said it.
It wasn't me, Bryant. It wasn't me, Bryant.
I know. It's on me. It's on me this time. It's on me. It's on
No
me.
better, Lisa.
And you know,
I
Lisa,
know.
after the wonderful student report, maybe this is just a good point. We're done for the evening, right? Doesn't get any better than that, right?
So that concludes the president's report, and I will turn it over to you, Dr. Lee.
Okay, well, that's impossible to follow, but we're going to do our best. And I know I speak for Dr. G and Dr. K, the district administrators, the board, all of us just, wow. That said it all, and everything that we could possibly say back to you about how terrific you are. So thank you, and really touching. Thank you very much. Okay, so superintendent's report. We have some more good news to share here. Again, as we've been saying for the last few months, it's really good to get back to more normal, which means students are doing what our students do here, and they're achieving and succeeding and growing. VHHS juniors Josie Daniels and Mary Daniels are making history. The sisters are the first VHHS students to qualify for the National History Day national competition. Their exhibit, 1939 New York World's Fair, was one of the top two finishers in the state competition. They will represent Team Illinois in the virtual national contest that will be held Sunday, June 13th through Saturday, June 19th, 2021. Their teacher is Pam Dirks. The following VHHS students also qualified for the state competition and advanced to the final round of the competition. Anne-Marie Landis and Avery Kamai, Extinction of the Hawaiian Language exhibit. Laura Doller, Representations of the LGBTQ community in multimedia website. 6 VHHS students also received special recognition at the state level, receiving Illinois college scholarships. Alina Rebenskaya, Rebecca Gold, Shay Pector, the American Holocaust Museum exhibit. Niveditha Iyengar, Ebony Magazine exhibit. Irene M. and Eliana Bernat, Hazel M. Johnson, Mother of the Environmental Justice Movement exhibit. The annual VHHS History Fair is now in its 7th year. U.S. history students work throughout the school year to create research projects that range from written reports to video documentaries and websites. So congratulations to all of those students. Last Saturday, LHS senior Robert Cartwright was named the 2021 IHSA state champion in the vault at the boys state gymnastics competition. That deserves a round of applause. Congratulations to Robert and his coaches. Even though they're only able to meet virtually this year, the VHHS FBLA, that's Future Business Leaders of America, has been just as strong as it has been in the previous year. 75 students participated in the State Leadership Conference, which took place virtually from February 22nd until the final award ceremony on April 10th. The following 46 qualified for national competition. Let me repeat that. 46 D128 students qualified for the national FBLA competition. So we're going to take a moment to read all their names, and I'll do the best job I can with the names. Anirudh Adaraju, Sarthik Agrawal, Krish Asher, Philip Back, Oyavsi Bapit, Mackenzie Barbarous, Jabran Bokhari, Zachary Brandt, Jeffrey Brahms, Amy Ding, Paige Adelheit, Jonathan Ford, Benjamin Froman, Noah Grinstein, Raul Gupta, Johan Hansen, Joshua Kaufman, Caleb Kim, Evan Kim, Joel Kim, Michael Kim, Noah Kim, Ryan Kaczynski, Julia Lee, Leon Levin, Srikar Manakanda, Kevin Manasagam, Sophia Marin, David Munn, Brandon Newman, Hunter Knuckles, Arav Panda, Tyler Park, Joshua Pomerantz, Milan Raval, Eric Rodriguez, Jack Sheldon, Mira Singh, Anthony Smilikov, Pranab Swanamanathan, Andrew Tikhanov, Keshav Shrika, Helen Tour, Amani Vaswani, Danielle Zhang, and Joseph Zimmerman. Virtual National Leadership Conference events will begin as early as June 7th and culminate on July 2nd. And I can guarantee you we're going to have names to read here at the board meeting after that competition. As you were aware, Mary, I think that's it. That is page 2. Okay, so we have one more thing. I'm sorry. Two student teams from Heidi Lechner's German class at LHS were named among the winners of this year's Our Sustainable Future International Competition, sponsored by the Goethe Institute. In the project entitled Plastic on Park Avenue, students Belinda Lee, Jack Distenfield, Sam Gilson, Kenneth Eunice, Willem Rolance, Liam Wessenlink, and John Stokovic seek to investigate the prevalence of plastic in the community and develop ways of increasing awareness for reducing, reusing, and recycling plastics. In the second project, Life Underwater, students Adam Campbell, Hunter Mayu, David Gilson, Ethan Yoon, Connor Stelter, and Isabella Schultz focus on Butler Lake. Together, they will bring attention to improving the cleanliness of the lake and develop ideas for raising awareness and the importance of the lake for the community. The LHS students joined student teams from Mexico, Guatemala, Germany, and other schools in the United States as winners of this year's competition. Winning student teams will present at the Goethe Institute's International Virtual Sustainability Conference from June 18th through the 20th. The conference will be streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. In its second year, the Goethe Institute's international competition challenges students to work with their peers, as well as German and science teachers, to identify a sustainability problem in their community or school. Focusing on the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, student teams develop sustainability projects or develop green startup concepts with ideas and strategies for local solutions to global issues. Nearly 30 projects were submitted from across the continent, from which the international expert judges nominated 12 winning projects. So again, very exciting. So that concludes the good news this evening. We have some additional recognition. So happy that the students reported out on the 16 plus vaccinations and now the 12 to 15 vaccinations, which actually started today at Vernon Hills, and then we'll be at Libertyville on Thursday. Moving forward, in the elementary districts, we'll be hosting their version of that next week. On the 20th, District 70, Hawthorne District 70 here in Vernon Hills, will begin with their 12 through probably 13, 14-year-old students. And the following week, District 70 will be doing the same thing for their age group of students. And the county is also doing, making those vaccines available. So it's very exciting to hear that we have numbers of students that are taking advantage of that. Secondly, no surprise, but still encouraging to hear that it's very well set up and the Passport staff is very friendly and very helpful to students. That's always good to get that real feedback from folks. So thanks you for reporting out. Behind the scenes to make our testing happen this year, and then also to make the vaccination happen, we basically have had two separate visions, one for testing and one for vaccination. And while it sounds easy when we put the message out to say, we're going to do voluntary weekly testing or we're going to do vaccination, there is just an unbelievable amount of work behind the scenes that has to be done. So we want to recognize some of our team members tonight who have been a part of that. So I'm going to make a few comments, introduce them. And I know Lisa has a few comments that she'd like to make too, because we would not be sitting here tonight without the work of these people who really took a vision and a concept and made it work at the building level. So as you are aware, District 128 was one of the early and is still one of only a handful of districts that offers weekly diagnostic surveillance testing for students and staff using the Abbott Binex Now test. And in addition, that requires weekly testing for student athletes and students involved in student activities. Also, D128 was one of the first districts to vaccinate our 16-plus-year-old students last week and began vaccinating our 14 to 15-year-old students this week. Thanks to Pat Grudy for his substantial work on vaccination options, to the board for its moral and financial support for the testing, and to Dr. Scott Morcott from Passport Health and his team for their terrific partnership, knowledge, and assistance in making both our testing and vaccination programs a rousing success. With that said, there is a group of D128 family members who took our vision for testing and vaccination and then did all the challenging, gritty, and time-consuming work to plan, facilitate, and articulate our testing and vaccination programs. Their commitment to the end result vision of both programs and their willingness and flexibility to do literally whatever it took to make it happen is simply amazing. What ended up being a well-oiled testing and vaccination machine only happened because of the work that these teammates did in the interest of the greater good. And remember, they did this work in addition to their regular day jobs for the district. A special shout out to Oli Stevens from LHS and Andy Young at VHHS for their effective working partnership and leadership at the building levels on both testing and vaccinations. I and we will never forget their efforts on behalf of D128 students, parents, and staff. Thus, the following team members are D128 COVID-19 heroes, and they have earned our sincere gratitude for their commitment and their efforts. That group includes Bryant Kelly, Dan Stanley, Mary Todrick, Oli Stevens, Andy Young, Eric Marosher, Greg Stilling, Cam Trout, Kajal Patel Thacker, Elisa Wasserman, Diane Dantes, Tom Calentis, John Gilliam, Jennifer Carrera Cruz, Capri Faison, Sandra Kruckman, Nora McKiernan, Donna Lynn Warmbald, Laura Wolf, Jennifer Shepard, Cheryl Wasnick, and Deborah Lehman. So can we give them all a round of applause? Turn it over to you if you want to make some comments.
Well, I am going to keep mine brief because you really said everything that I wanted to. But on behalf of the Board of Education, we are grateful to each and every one of you that participated in the Herculean effort to implement testing and get vaccine clinics on site at both of our schools. Thank you from the bottom of my heart personally, because as Dr. Lee noted, we are in recognition that this is in addition to keeping up with your full-time job. I am incredibly proud that District 128 has implemented the testing and the vaccinations that we have. And we are grateful. Thank you. Would anybody else like to add anything?
Okay. I think we're good. So thanks to everyone. It's amazing to be a superintendent in a district when I can, for example, I can have a conversation with Oli and Andy about a vision for testing on very short notice. And the response is, what do we need to do? It's truly incredible. And that's really a core value of the district. So the whole testing and vaccination team, just amazing. So again, congratulations on your efforts and thank you. Okay, so next we're modified the COVID-19 related report a little bit this evening. We just touched on 16 plus and 12 to 15-year-old vaccinations. The metrics, I am still reviewing really the site that Dr. Grudy depended on the most was the Northwestern site. Our data is still real. The metrics are still really good in Libertyville and Vernon Hills. And beyond that, unless we see a really high spike up, that will be our report out on the metrics every month. I did tell Pat, we may need to pull him out of the bullpen some night to come and explain things to us. And he said he would be happy to do that and then leave. So we always have that as a backup. I think the students touch a little bit on full day, hybrid half day and remote learning, but that continues. John and Tom, I don't know if you have any other updates. If not, that's good, or checkoffs. But we're moving forward and, toward our regular opening next year. And so we just have a few more weeks to go. And then we'll be through. So we do want to take just a couple minutes and talk about two things. We sent out a note to all the staff last week and all the parents. As we're all aware, CDC made an announcement at the end of last week about masks. And it was very confusing. As much as we have followed this, and I'm certainly no expert, but we've been paying attention all year. It was very confusing to me, and I think very confusing certainly to school people. We expect some clarification of that forthcoming. We had a special meeting with the Lake County Health Department today, and Executive Director Mark Pfister and his assistant Leah Bocci, who are terrific to work with. And they reminded all of the superintendents who are just like us looking for direct. So what does that mean for us now, right, in a school? Mark reminded us that in the state of Illinois, we are still under the governor's emergency declaration order, which means the governor's in charge in the state of Illinois, not the CDC. And the mask mandate for schools is still in place as it is for other things until the governor adapts that. So what we were told by the county health department is that now the CDC is interfacing with the state health departments, and there should be some more clarity coming. The CDC today did put out a statement that for schools, you should continue to wear masks. So I think Don and I were talking a little bit before the meeting. Been nice if they would have done that last Friday. It created a lot of confusion and consternation for people. So as we have done all year, as soon as we get some additional direction, we'll assess that. We'll update the board, and if necessary, we'll make decisions based on that. So I just want to read this into the record tonight. This is pretty brief, what we put out to parents and students and staff last Friday. As you may know, the CDC announced yesterday that anyone who is fully vaccinated may, with exceptions, participate in indoor and outdoor activities without wearing a mask or physical distancing. The exceptions require wearing masks while on buses, trains, planes, and public transportation. We are awaiting direction and guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Health, Illinois State Board of Education, and the Lake County Health Department regarding this significant change and how we may implement it in a school setting. Given that, coupled with the fact that we have no way of knowing who on our campuses has been vaccinated, masks will still be required for anyone on our campuses. Once we receive IDPH, ISBE, and LCHD direction and guidance, we will evaluate it and adjust as warranted. So that has been the board's position since the beginning of the year, as we have wrestled with the many issues this year. And that is certainly my recommendation to the board as we continue. And I think we're all on the same page with that, but we can certainly pause and have a discussion if we need to on that. That's our recommendation, that we continue to follow the guidance.
Well, I appreciate that you have always continued to put the health and safety of our students, teachers, and staff first, that your recommendations have been consistent with CDC, IDPH, and Lake County Health Department guidance. We look forward to your continuing good work on evaluating that and your updating recommendations if necessary. And we will look forward to staying tuned on how that develops.
Great.
Does anybody want to add anything?
You said it.
Okay, that's good. Tomorrow, Bryant Kelly and Cam Trout, our head nurse at LHS, and Kajal Patel, our head nurse at Vernon Hills, will be attending a training for a pilot that is going to be run in Lake County. It's the first pilot that is like it in the state. And it is designed to perhaps make some more judicious decisions about quarantine, really around vaccination status of students and those types of things. As we all understand, one of the frustrating things for parents and students is if somebody's on an athletic team or in a class and then somebody tests positive, we have to isolate a larger number of students and then kind of work backwards, of course, to do that. But now that vaccinations are taking place, there's a sense that we can make some better decisions. So again, Executive Director Pfister from Lake County Health Department and his team made a proposal to the Illinois Department of Public Health for school districts to be able to sign up in certain criteria, to meet certain criteria, to be able to join this pilot in Lake County. And what they will do is they will collect data for the last few weeks of school in the summer, over the summer, and into next school year. And this pilot could be expanded, to other areas of the state moving forward. Brian, do you want to hit any highlights tonight of that you think are important for the board to know?
We'll find out a lot more details. A lot has to do with really just in the classroom is the pilot program. And so right now, again, if you have students in a classroom that are more than 6 feet apart, they don't need a quarantine, even if they're in a class for more than 15 minutes with a close contact. The question comes up about the 3 to 6 feet, and in order to, accommodate our students that are coming to class, there are some students that are in that 3 to 6 foot range of another student. And if that student tests positive, anyone that's in that 3 to 6 foot range then has to quarantine for the required days. So what they've been looking at, the county has been looking at data from multiple schools and noticing that if all the mitigations are in place in your school, you're doing surveillance testing, you're doing cleaning, you're wearing masks, and that you're able to look at that classroom. And if all of that is being followed all the time, that those students may not have to be quarantined, even if they're in a 4 foot distance for 75 minutes with another student. As of right now, it says you have to quarantine, but the nurses and Lake County, my understanding, we'll get more information tomorrow. We'll evaluate the situation. We'll look at the classroom, see what's being done in the classroom at that time, and evaluate it. So there may be some other things, depending if it's a physical welfare class, depending if it's a music class. We're trying to find out some of those details on what may occur. But Like I said, Kajal, Cam and I and Elisa and Diane will be in a webinar tomorrow. We kind of have some questions already lined up to ask the county and be ready to go. So I think the goal is for it to start as soon as Wednesday, possibly. And then we'll be working with the schools and go from there. So that's kind of the gist of what I have from what, Mark Pfister and Leah Bocci sent out from Lake County.
And Bryant, I think we anticipate, one of the hardest things here is doing the contact tracing, right? Is if we are not required to quarantine as many students, then we're also not doing as much contact tracing, and we have more students that don't have to miss school, which is the most important thing as we go down that ladder. So this is a big deal, and it's the only place in Illinois that's been approved to do this. So it's
And it
kind of
only applies really to the classroom.
Yep.
Just, so if you start contact tracing and there's other things that are occurring, whether it's athletics, the bus or outside school, then those may force somebody to quarantine. But they're really right now trying to just look at, is the classroom environment and how safe that is. Because it's a controlled environment and you're wearing masks and you're sitting at desks and, a lot of things going on.
And
To be clear though, in the fall, we're assuming that many of our students are going to be vaccinated. That process is already happening, but they have said that if you are vaccinated, then there will be no quarantine.
Yeah. So even right now, so we have some students that are fully vaccinated. They're 2 weeks out. And so if you're in close contact with somebody, you will not have to quarantine. Just like any staff member that, is fully vaccinated and you're close contact, whether it's at school, away from school, or for athletics, you do not have to quarantine. And that'll roll into the summer. It's hard to say, they keep talking about other things with booster shots or whatever, but we'll just keep following that guidance. But this pilot program, they're going to use for the rest of the year, and also you can use it into summer school. So if you have summer school, again, only classrooms where you have students that are maybe 3 to 6 feet apart. That's what they're looking at really, is how close can students be in a classroom?
So one of the criteria is that you, of course, have to be in Lake County. The second criteria is that you have to have the ability to do either the Buy Next Now test or the Illinois Shield test, the University of Illinois Shield test, either on a regular basis, kind of like we do, it's all voluntary, of course, voluntary basis, or you have to have the ability to, let's say, do the Abbott Buy Next Now test for any students that might be identified as having been exposed. So again, if you go back to the many discussions that we had about testing, having a testing system in place here has been good on a number of levels, but it's also opened the door for us to be able to sign the pilot document, which we've already done, and to get in place. And to show you maybe how fortunate that we are, we have several school districts in Lake County that cross into, let's say, McHenry County. Barrington 220, for example, sits on 4 counties. So only their schools that are located in Lake County, can participate in this pilot. So if you're a Barrington and you're across 3 other counties, your schools that are located in those other counties, those schools cannot participate in those students in this. So it's very Lake County centric. So it's really a neat thing. And that's probably a good lead in to just kind of keep the Buy Next Now testing on the table. I think last month when we were talking about Buy Next Now in the summer, our initial recommendation was probably that we don't do it in the summer because we thought, numbers are lower, we can socially distance students. So after Bryant and the nurses meet tomorrow, we'll have some additional conversation and perhaps a recommendation into summer school. Now, if we believe that we have the Buy Next Now tests on hand and we have a nursing staff that can do that, because remember, you have to have someone that's certified to do that, right? It just, Mr. Kelly and I cannot do Buy Next Now testing, for example. So, we'll look at summer school and then knowing that probably, all of our students are probably not going to be vaccinated, even though it's available. If we follow a trend line, a national trend line, then once Denise comes in July, you can have some more discussion about what testing might look like, should we do it in the fall? Do we need to continue? Those kinds of things. And ask Dan to just kind of, keep a Post-it note up here that, if we do testing again, that would be an ongoing COVID expense. But I would say this, for the resources that we put toward testing, it's yielded, it's done two things for us. It's likely, most likely kept us safer and kept us from having to quarantine even more kids and shut some things down along the way. That's been very important, I think, for us. And the other return on the investment is that, we have also, through that testing, discovered some asymptomatic students as well. So it's really produced good results for us. So that was fortuitous. And I would say the return on the investment of that was, the cost benefit analysis there is through the roof to the benefit side. So again,
Also had a big impact on the community.
Oh, yes.
Because now community members and families know that they have somebody that has COVID. So let's not discount that this was a good thing for everyone.
Well, if you remember, Pat, that's a great point, Don. When Pat was tracking the data, and Kevin too, because Kevin was watching this, Mr. Huber, when they were looking at the data over a period of time, the more students and staff that we got tested over a period of time, you could see that reflected in the community. So yes, it had a community benefit as well. So, a great use of taxpayer dollars all the way around. It's a good point, Don. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so let's talk for a few minutes about end of year activities. So to put things in perspective, a year ago, Dr. Gilliam, Dr. Colentus, and the staff and the students were working together to figure out how we were going to honor graduates. And they did some amazing things at both buildings, drive-through or drive-by graduations, senior parades. It was amazing what they were able to adapt to provide at least some sense of normalcy last year and honor to the students. So in perspective, the good news this year is we've been able to have some modified end of year events, and we're going to have graduations this year. Okay, with some parents being able to attend, but with some limits. They'll both be outdoors at both stadiums moving forward. And remember that we have a little different setup at each building. So at LHS, we have more graduates and we have less space inside the stadium there. We have very small visitors bleachers on the other side. The footprint of the stadium is much smaller. At Vernon Hills, we have a smaller graduating class. We have a much larger facility in terms of square footage inside, bleacher space, particularly on the visitor side. Moving forward. So just going to ask Tom and John to give us a quick update on where they're at in graduation. Then I want to make a couple points after that, particularly for the board members who are, interacting with parents. But we're going to start with this point. We're going to finish with this point. We're having graduation this year. Okay. The takeaway is we're having graduation. When a year ago, we weren't able to do that. I know I was talking with Mr. Batson, Dr. Batson before the meeting tonight, and at his school district where they're at, they had their graduation last weekend outside. It was wonderful. So Tom and John, just share anything that you would like to share in terms of updates on graduation.
I'll start with a quick update for Libertyville. We are excited to host our graduation Thursday night, the 27th. It will begin at 7:30 p.m. in our stadium. And as you said, Dr. Lee, we have approximately 460 graduates this year, and we are excited about that. And we are able right now to offer every graduate 2 tickets. We have some split or blended families, and so we have also been able to accommodate parents who are in that situation. And we have been taking requests. We've asked, families to understand our limits, but we have been taking requests for additional tickets. So we have a list of families that have made requests Right now, we haven't been able to grant any of those because we are making sure that we have all of the biological parents and the parents who have raised their children made sure that they are a priority. And as we get closer to the date and as we get a little bit more clarity on some of the new guidance that's coming out, we will do our best to look at our facilities and try to accommodate as many of those requests for extra tickets as we can. It is it's a significant challenge for us. Even, if we just did 2 tickets, when you add in all of the staff and you add in all of the students and parents, you're looking at already about 1,500 people. And so, to make quick changes, we're like, our goal is to have as many people celebrate the graduation as we can, but at the same time, we have to run a safe event and we have to run a very, smooth and efficient event, because we wouldn't want to have families come to a very formal and important event and then have a lot of confusion and chaos trying to get in and out and people not knowing where to sit. I mean, it's essentially, running a major program for a huge audience of people. So we are doing our best to be as responsive to some of the new guidance, while still maintaining the health and safety of all participants and making sure that all of our communication is clear to families about that. So one of the things that I remind all of our Libertyville community is in the many different webinars and kind of times we've interacted with our seniors, one thing was clear going back to last August, and that was our seniors were telling us they wanted to graduate all together as a class. So some high schools have been able to approach graduation and include more people, but they've done it by dividing their graduation into 2 or 3 different ceremonies over the course of the evening. Our students wanted to be all together, unified as a class, graduating at the same time. And so we're letting our student voice and desire drive our ceremony, and we're structuring everything else around that. And we are very confident that it is going to be a wonderful and very meaningful ceremony for everyone involved. We've also really worked hard to upgrade and make sure our streaming would be very high quality. So family members, if we can't get family members beyond the parents to attend, they would be able to see the event live at the moment it's taking place through any internet connected device. Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Pretty much the same thing. I won't kind of go through the points that Tom did. We have the same kind of priorities in terms of getting our complete student body together, a safe and orderly event. We're blessed that we have sizably larger home bleachers and away bleachers. And so when the guidance came that we could move to a 60% threshold of our capacity, we studied the space, and with the additional space in our bleachers, both the home and away, plus many of our portable bleachers that we can scatter around the perimeter of the graduates, plus rental chairs that we can put out along the track and even in some of our open green space, which LHS doesn't have. We're able to get 4 guests per graduate at Vernon Hills High School, and we've received a lot of appreciation for that. But again, understand that we're just able to do that because we have the space to do so. And so I feel like because of that, we wanted to extend that opportunity to our families. Probably the best news that we are seeing so far is that the 10-day forecast looks like it's clear. So both schools should be able to celebrate a dry graduation, and we're all looking forward to that. So
I guess the question is, and certainly not to jinx us, but the question is, if we had bad rain that day, what would we do? Do we have an alternative date the next day?
Our rain date for both schools is Friday.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, we will get it in Thursday if we can. We will delay. We will put rain gear under seats. We will do our best to get it in on Thursday. We've rented quite a bit of equipment at both schools including stages, sound systems at our place, video boards, chairs. And so we don't have the opportunity to extend that much further than one day. And so we'll do our best to get it in on Thursday. But bad rain, consistent rain over time, or bad, dangerous weather, we'll go to Friday.
Okay, that's good. So a couple of questions that have come up and that will come up. And let's just respond to them tonight. So again, we do what we always do, is that we're open and honest with people. So a question might be raised at Libertyville to say, well, people that are vaccinated, they don't have to count in the overall count. So in other words, they don't count as part of the percentage calculation. And while that's true, we have no mechanism, and nor do we have the personnel to be able to do that at a graduation ceremony. To be able to verify who's vaccinated. Did you bring your own card? Did I bring Casey's card that night, and how would they know, right? I mean, or I brought Jim's card, how would they know? Because they don't know who, they might know who Jim Batson is. Tom hit on another very important point, and that is we also have to get that crowd in safely, and we have to get them out safely at the end. And we have limited number of personnel to work any event to be able to do that. So if you fast forward a year, what happens next year when it's more normal? So our contract again, out at the Sears Center, just like most of the schools they've worked with, has been held in advance. So we have the same date that we've always had, which is Thursday before Memorial Day, has been our traditional date, and we'll move back out there. I think it's the last year of that current 3 or 4 year agreement. But we always have right of first refusal. And honestly, it's the best working facility to do the kind of numbers that we need to do at Libertyville. So assuming that we go that way again, John, of course, and his team, may choose to come back in the gym where they've traditionally had their graduation here. And if we had this space at LHS, of course, we would, do the graduation inside at LHS on campus. So I think that's where we're headed in the future. But we have to help remind all of us that we didn't have a graduation last year, and we are going to have a graduation this year. And that is a huge quantum leap forward. And while we'd like to bring, 4 or 5, 6 people, be able to bring some family with us, these are the adaptations we're going to have to make at this time. And so that's where we're at. John and Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything. Tom, what other questions have maybe you gotten from parent cats or folks that have called?
Sure. No, I don't have much else to add. Our parents have been wonderful. Certainly some disappointed and hopeful that they could include more people in part of the in-person graduation. But we have kept all of their names on a list. We have a wait list that we are very vigilant about protecting and making sure that it's up to date. And we will do our very best to try to get as many of those requests met as we possibly can.
And if something were to change between now and Friday, for example, the state came out and said, well, or now it's this, you can bring a few more people in, then of course,
we would try to do our very best to that. It's just the other part is we, even if they said unlimited, we just still have limited seating. And like John, we've rented all kinds of chairs and portable bleachers and things. And so, we don't want it to feel like a rock concert where everybody is just piled in and kind of, jostling for getting a view of the stage and getting it, attention. We have a lot of, this is a very dignified ceremony, and we know that the people who do attend are going to want to be able to see their graduates and see the events that are happening. So it's just balancing the size of our stadium with the maximum amount of people that we can put in there and still ensure a quality event for all in-person participants.
Okay. So any other questions from board members? Okay. Tom, thank you to your team, and John, thank you to your team for all the planning, because they're, unless you have been involved with graduation over you simply cannot appreciate the amount of work that the entire staff has to do to make all that go. It's pretty incredible, but it comes out beautifully at the end, and it will be wonderful to be able to honor all of you in person, this year. So
For sure. And can I also add,
Yeah, sure.
I just want to thank you, Tom and John, for allowing board members to participate. I'm really excited for the new board members to see what it's like to participate in graduation. To me, it is the frosting on the cake for this job. Certainly, we do a lot of really meaningful and important things, but participating in graduation is just so much fun. And it's really special to be able to honor our graduates. And we are so happy that we get to see all of you one more time before you say goodbye. So
If I may, to Dr. Gilliam, the extension to up to 4 guests per graduate is the talk of the town right now. I mean, everyone's going crazy about it. My family is thrilled about it. All the families are thrilled about it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's great.
Well, that was easy, John, right?
Easy.
That was good. So, okay, so that's where we sit right now. Of course, if there were any changes, we will of course update the board and we would update the community. But I think that's the line of direction we're on. And as Lisa said, it'll be very exciting to be at graduation. Lisa will be at Vernon Hills and she'll make some brief remarks and confer the diplomas on the students. Casey will be at Libertyville and she'll make similar remarks and confer. And then I will be for my last graduation at LHS because Lisa's going to be at Vernon Hills and the board president and superintendent. When we're on the same night, we split up and go 2 places. And then Brian Kelly will be at Vernon Hills with Lisa. So we're very excited to participate that night. And Lisa's right for the board members when the 2 schools you're going to be at, where you chose or were assigned to go, then you'll actually be passing diplomas out and shaking the graduates' hands. It is pretty cool.
are we going to have handshakes this year?
Well, we'll have to do, I don't know, fist bumps or waves or whatever.
Handing out diplomas. It'll be
Handing out
diplomas.
and smiling with our eyes.
Yeah, so if I get carried away, Tom, over your place, you're just going to have to slow me down. That's 41 years of graduations for me. So
We have a
Kinda
special
learned
security
behavior,
detail
right?
that'll shadow you all evening.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Okay. Dan, is there anything else to add beside what we talked about at the committee meeting about COVID-19 tracking expenses at this point or expenditure tracking?
No, just that we gave the detailed report. Going forward, we're just going to do the summary because the detailed is too much info, but for the new members to see what's in there. And then going forward will be just the summary.
Dan, can you make a couple brief comments about the federal dollars, the flow through dollars that are related to COVID and how that works?
Sure. So there are 3 rounds of what Illinois is calling ESSER funds. So ESSER funds are for COVID relief that it's from the federal. So the first was CARES Act, that's the federal money, but they translated that to ESSER 1. The second one that was done at the end of December was ESSER 2. The one that was done, I'm not sure when, after the Biden administration came in, that's going to be ESSER 3. ESSER 1 money we got earlier this year, 60,000. We also got about just under, I think, 190,000 from Lake County from ESSER 1. So they had money that they sent us through that, which we were not expecting, but we used that to offset the cost for the thermal scanners and the computer technology that we purchased. ESSER 2, we just received that money in April, which is very exciting. That was to offset the cost of testing. So that's 213,000. So in ESSER 3, we're expecting to get about $500,000. We're still waiting for more guidance and even for the application system to open up with ISB to be able to apply for those funds. So that won't be until next fiscal year, but you can claim it for any expenditures starting at the beginning of the pandemic. So it's pretty flexible. Just with ESSER 3, that is different than the other ones is that 20% of the money has to go to learning loss. You can spend it all on learning loss, but at least 20% has to. That's the only other caveat that we know about ESSER money. So.
Okay, so it's good for the public to know that the dollars they're hearing about in the federal conversation and coming to the state are flowing through to local districts. And Dan, on behalf of us, you are planning with the team here and the board to, augment, offset some of the expenses during the COVID.
Yeah, we're waiting still for further guidance from ISB. Once we get that guidance, then we'll talk about how to allocate it. But so I think when all is said and done, we'll be close to $1 million, when you take everything into account that we've received. So some districts have received millions and they rightfully need it. So we're very happy with the funding that we anticipate we'll be able to get in total.
So as we move through the summer into next year, Dan will continue to report out. And when he kind of totals the dollars against the expenditures that we had, then we know what the net out expenditures will be for COVID-19. So good, Dan. Thank you. Before we move into capital projects, we had a really impactful, important, and terrific Institute Day last week for students. You weren't here, and we had an Institute Day, and I asked Rita if she would do, an overview and a bit of review of that Institute Day.
Sure, thank you, Prentice. So Thursday was our Daring Institute Day. It was scheduled to coincide with Eid al-Fitr, so our Muslim students were able to have a non-attendance day as well as every other student. It also coincidentally was Prentice's birthday. So we had a number of things to celebrate at our Daring Institute Day. The focus of the Institute Day was ensuring that every staff member and student will thrive as we conclude this challenging year and think about planning for next year. We began the day with a focus on our equity journey and review of the racial equity, diversity, and inclusion policy that the board adopted. Tom and John gave some background on our equity journey, looking both inward at our individual equity journeys and outward at the systemic changes that we've made to focus on equity in the district. Bryant and I talked a bit about the policy process and its implementation. And then we heard from a really inspirational panel of educators and an attorney, Mira Ante, the District 113 Director of Equity, Marcus Campbell, the Assistant Superintendent and Principal of Evanston Township High School, and Jackie Garapur-Werntz, a partner at Franzik Law Firm, talked about the significance of implementing an equity policy, the legal implications of that policy, and how the equity journeys have played out in their districts. Truly inspirational discussion from that panel. Our own equity coordinators, Amy Christian, Ann Singleton, and Tara Young, provided an overview of the policy implementation, the panel discussion, processing it with teams of educators, and then talked about culturally responsive education, a professional learning approach that we will focus on and continue in years to come, and that educators in our districts have already been studying and implementing. Our teams of educators, we had hoped would gather together in a single space to start the day, but instead they gathered together in departmental settings to participate in the morning session and to process. And then finally in the afternoon, our instructional coaches, this time from Vernon Hills, focused on recognizing and supporting student trauma amidst the pandemic. Amanda Carroll, Brandon Waters, Ellen Macias, Karen Clark, and Rebecca Garcia did an excellent job of leading us through the trauma-informed instruction and social emotional learning strategies. And we concluded the day to process the entire day together in departmental sessions. So it truly was a very inspirational day of learning. And we're grateful not only to our own internal facilitators, but to our guest speakers who challenged us to think about what equity journeys look like in other districts and how that might impact our work here in District 128. So overall, an excellent day of learning for all. And we are grateful to everyone who facilitated that learning among our colleagues.
It was amazing. It was an amazing day. Really,
and I neglected
truly.
to say that Prentice kicked us off with a very inspirational account of his own personal equity journey, as well as his time in the district and all of our wishes for him as he concludes his time in the district. He also shared his wishes for us as he concludes his time as superintendent with us.
You're very kind, Rita. Thank you. It was an amazing day. And all the years I've been in the field, that last Thursday was right at the top of professional learning and reflection. And we want to thank the board for its support of working toward the best interest of all of our students, supporting our equity work as we move through that. And of course, we always invite you to be part of that as we continue that journey as well. So thanks, Rita. That was a great overview and review. Thank you. Tom and John, anything you want to add to that? Good. 2 thumbs up. Okay.
Great day. Thanks.
Great. Terrific. Okay.
Day Prentice.
Well,
Yes.
I won't tell you. 'Cause the kids will go, wow, you really are old. So probably you would say that. Okay. So thank you though. I appreciate that. Okay, Dan, we're going to turn it over to you and Mark Mark and you on capital project updates. Anything you want to share this evening?
Just on the Vernon Hills additions and the old pool renovation, we are wrapping up the payments of those. We have about $1 million more to pay. We've got the change orders in there. We have we've received change orders over the 850,000 that we had put in at the beginning of the project. So we're still kind of watching those, but Gilbane has been working pretty diligently on trying to keep those limited. But we're still waiting to see how much more we have coming, because there are always more even wrapping up a project. In addition, we've talked a little bit, I've added 300,000 on the owner side because of additional furniture and equipment, particularly tech stuff that was higher than I had anticipated at the beginning of this project. Now that we are kind of wrapping up towards the end, I need to make sure there's enough allocation there. So that's what I did add there in terms of the cost of the project. So at this point, the cost of the project is about 30.5 million, up from the 30.2 that we had started with.
Okay, any other comments?
And for the new board, so the report that you'll see, every change order is there. You can click, you should be able to see all the links. I think I make them so that anybody can click on them and see, so you can just see what goes into the change orders. So.
Okay. Mark, anything else?
Some exciting news for LHS. Eli Kelly and his IT team have been working inventorying items and taking down cameras and getting us prepped. Today was our first day. We had some carpenters in. They were taking cabinets apart up in the driver's ed classroom. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we have movers coming in, and minor demolition will start on Thursday. We have testing going on Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and we'll start back up with demolition on the 26th. So good news there. We're moving forward.
Great news. Any other comments? Okay, good. Thank you. Lake County, next on the superintendent's report is Lake County indemnification agreement. Dan, do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. This is an annual agreement with the Lake County government that whenever a developer develops property, particularly for residents, people to live in, that impacts the school system, especially if it's housing that kids are more likely to be in, meaning it's not like a senior living place. But and so it impacts the school system because there's more kids to do that. And so typically what happens is municipal codes. So, Vernon Hills has their own, Libertyville has their own. They typically say, if you're going to develop, you have to provide land for the schools, or in lieu of land, you can provide cash. And then they all kind of have their own calculations for how they do that. Well, there are some unincorporated land that would then go to the authority of Lake County. And so what this agreement is Lake County agreeing to let us have private agreements rather than having a standard agreement. We can have private agreements with developers, and they will honor that as long as if the developer can't prove that they've satisfied whatever agreement, the county will withhold, may withhold building permits or whatever. And if that happens and they get sued because of it, we will hold the county harmless and we will indemnify them, meaning we will pay for the defense if they get sued because of that. So let's say a developer is supposed to come in, they're supposed to pay us $30,000. They don't, the county withholds the building permit and the developer decides to sue the county, not us, they decide to sue the county, we will step in and pay for that defense. So this is an annual agreement. And if we don't do this annual agreement, then essentially the county says they're not going to, technically what the contract says is they're not going to really be at all concerned with requiring developers to donate anything to the schools. So this is an annual thing. There's pros and cons to the agreement, but overall we believe this is in the best interest of the school.
Has there been an issue in the past?
No. So I've worked in Lake County districts my entire career. I've never had an issue. And I've had developments that are in unincorporated areas. They've never been a problem.
Have we not had this agreement in the past? Is this a renewal of an existing agreement or something that is brand new?
It's an annual agreement that is every year. We typically would have it around this time every year. And it's updated annually because just if there's tweaks or maybe something new, the attorneys review it as well.
Are you aware of any changes this year?
Just grammatical.
Okay.
Like one was a reference to another section that doesn't exist, so they just updated that. So I would say minor grammatical errors. Carol, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And Dan, although this has never happened, any coverage of the county in the event of litigation, that would be covered through our tort, correct? That be covered through our liability or?
Let me think, sorry, for a second. Yes, yeah, that would be covered. Sorry, I had to think of it would be covered under I believe it would be covered under our existing insurance, that the insurance would step in and pay. Unlike, for example, when we were talking about COVID, and if we got sued because of that reason, insurance would not pay for that defense. That was kind of a concern. I believe insurance would pay for this defense.
So with that said, the recommendation of the administration is that the board approve the annual renewal of the indemnification agreement with Lake County.
Can I ask for a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Back to you, Dr. Grudy.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next on the superintendent's agenda this evening is the proposed 2021, 2022 committee and board meeting schedule. This follows our typical rotation, but we do want to make a point for the community that may be watching. It's our intention starting August next year to move back to our regular board cycle rotation. So except for the exceptions listed on the proposed calendar, see you all.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
You've been very patient.
Bye,
Thanks for
guys.
waiting.
See you next time.
I'm looking, it's almost going on 9 o'clock again. So thank you. With the noted exceptions, the committee meetings will be at Libertyville High School and the board meetings will be at Vernon Hills High School. So just again, for any community that may be watching. So why isn't it flipped, or why don't we rotate the schedule? The facilities are very limited in the Library Media Center at Libertyville. It's almost impossible to set up our needs there. And then the AV, because of the low ceilings there, the AV and the quality that we need is very, very challenging. We actually tried that 3 or 4 years ago, and I think, immediately determined that it was challenging to do that. So with that said, again, if something comes up, something happens, this can always be changed. we can submit an amended calendar down the line so that, this is kind of semi-carved in stone, but if we have to move meetings around, we can always do that down the line. So with that said, the administration would recommend approval of the proposed FY22 committee and boards meeting schedule as presented.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Benjamin,
Aye.
Carmichael,
Aye.
Drumkey,
Aye.
Hessel,
Aye.
Kulkarni,
Aye.
Rooney,
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Back to you, Dr. Gruber.
Okay, great. We have a couple of things to finish up, and then we can move on to consent vote agenda and report outs from the committees. We did have a donation this month, and so we always like to recognize a donator. So we'd like to recognize Mr. Becker Mailer. And we'd like to acknowledge receipt of his donation in April 2021 of the following musical instruments to the Vernon Hills High School Music Department. One, a Masters Custom 6-piece drum set shell, 10 inches, 12 inches, 14, 16, and 22 inches. Two, a DW double bass pedal 5000 series. Three, number one, brake drum soft case. Number four, associated drum set cymbals. And number five, mallets. And finally, number six, books. So the donation will be acknowledged tonight. And as always, we do not place a value on the donation for tax purposes, but we are very appreciative of that donation from Mr. Mailer. So thank you very much. And finally, from the superintendent tonight, we have one Freedom of Information request in response, and as required, we're going to read that into the record. Commercial FOIA request received on 5/4/21. The response deadline was 6/3/21. The requester was Preston Deddy from chicagolandconstruction.com. The information requested was, I am looking for bid results, tabulations, or award for 4/26/2021 from Community High School District number 128, Libertyville High School Fieldhouse renovation, project bid release 1, our rebid in Lake County. Follow-up was done by Carol Scoden, and the request was fulfilled and sent on 5/7/21. And President Hessel, believe it or not, that concludes the superintendent's report tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Okay, so next is the consent vote agenda. For anybody who is curious, we discuss all of these matters in great detail on the second Monday of every month in our committee meetings. That meeting took place last week. Do I have a motion to accept the consent vote agenda?
Yes,
Yes.
sorry.
I was
John,
just
you
going
wanna
to say
go?
move to approve the consent vote agenda.
We have to,
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
the
so
special meeting. Yeah, that's what I was gonna,
thank you,
yeah.
Dr. Batson, Mr. Carmichael, and Ms. Godin. We are asking for a motion to approve the consent vote agenda with the corrected special board meeting minutes from April 26th, 2021 with a minor correction of a detail. So those are what we are moving with this motion. And I think it was you,
So
John?
moved.
Thank you,
Second.
John. Great. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Carmichael,
Aye.
Drumkey,
Aye.
Hessel,
Aye.
Kulkarni,
Aye.
Rooney,
Aye.
Batson,
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. All right. Dr. Batson, over to you for the Program and Personnel Committee update.
Okay, thank you. For the program and personnel, the first item is the 2021-2022 textbook adoption request.
We reviewed these textbook adoptions also at the PMP meeting last week. They represent the work of curricular teams at each school reviewing textbook resources, which we talked quite a bit last week about these textbooks really supporting the standards and goals of a course rather than being the course curriculum. And these serve as one of the many resources that teachers use when educating students. I can answer any questions about the textbook adoptions, but the list presented is what we discussed last week at committee.
And I'll note the total for this is $151,327.76. So can we have a motion, please?
I motion to approve the 2021-2022 textbook adoption request as stated.
A second.
Okay, any further questions, comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Next on the agenda is a nurse stipend. Dr. Lee?
Brian, you want me to do the overview on that, or do you want to do it?
Go ahead.
As I think many of you know, our nurses are on our professional staff as part of the teacher contract in our school districts. So they have an established workday. They have an established time for lunch. They have established planning time during the day. And throughout this year in the pandemic, because they have really led our efforts to keep our staff and our kids safe in the building, they have led our efforts in terms of quarantining decisions, and not only working with Bryant and John and Tom and the teams at their two buildings, but also Lake County Health Department and working through those processes. And that has ended up in them working many, many more hours, hundreds, if not thousands of more hours over the course of the school year on evenings, on Saturdays, and on Sundays, well beyond their contracted time. And so we proposed to the board at the committee meeting that we take our 4 certified nurses and we give them each a $1,500 stipend, one-time stipend, as a token of our appreciation for their incredible efforts this year over and beyond. And so tonight, there was consensus from the board as we discussed that, but tonight we need to have the board actually vote on that. So the administration recommends that we give our 4 certified nurses, 2 at Libertyville and, or excuse me, 2 at Libertyville and 2 at Vernon Hills, each $1,500 stipends for a total expenditure of $6,000.
We have a motion, please? So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion, comment? Yeah. They didn't come to us and say, we've been working extra hard, you should pay us more. They were working extra hard and our administration recognized that they were working extra hard. And this is indeed a thank you for a job well done. It's a lot of work and a lot of additional stress and so many layers to this. I think it's the least we can do to recognize what they've contributed over the last 16 months or so.
I can say as a parent of a student who was identified in contact tracing, just as a brief story of how hard they work, in addition to their regular duties, the contact tracing call I received was one of such care and patience and knowledge, the ability to answer my questions and really be a resource to me as a parent. Is just one example of the outstanding work that our nurses do. So I'm very happy with this recommendation. Thank you to our nurses and thank you for recognizing their hard work.
Yeah. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda is the Special Services District Transition Program. This is where we're bringing in from CEDAW, which typically been done from CEDAW, the Articulation, Operation, and Programming of the Special Services Transition Program, beginning the 21-22 school year and implementation in the 22-23 school year. So
Right.
Yeah, so just a background, and Kelly Hartwig is joining us if you have any questions, but we talked about this extensively in our committee meeting, and just a brief overview of what this is. So our transition services are for those students with disabilities that may require specially designed post-secondary transition plan that includes some of their goals beyond high school, results and outcomes oriented, focusing on their improving their students' educational, functional, and vocational readiness. Some of those goals are employment, community involvement, independent living, personal health and safety, recreation and leisure activities, and some of their social and self-determination skills. So currently our students are being served by either CEDAL transition programming or other transition programming. So, why, I guess the question is, why are we doing it now? Looking at our program, our numbers and enrollment, projected up to 22-23 school year. We do have some increasing enrollment, but we feel that as a district, that by bringing this program back in, we can align this program with our District 128 mission. We can align this with all of the things that we do already well at District 128. The community-based program then would be based in the Libertyville, Vernon Hills area, which would be great for our students as they transition again from our schools out into the community that they'll probably be living with, rather than going to a program that might be out of the area. So one of the things, obviously, that we looked at was the cost of the program. Dan looks at the finances of this, and rather than paying all the money to CEDAL, obviously we would be taking over or taking back a lot of that program, and which involves a lot of other costs. And so we did an analysis of it, and in actuality, looking at the cost projection for FY23, that it was actually a cost savings for us to be taking this program over. And I think we were conservative in some of our numbers, just, because again, we're projecting some things that, are a little bit unknown. And we were surprised that still, even with, maybe being heavy on some of the costs, that it was a cost savings towards us. So our next steps are to, you can't just, even though we're looking at the 22-23 school year to start that program, that you can't just flip the switch and take it over, so that we would be starting to do some of that programming next year with a transition program supervisor coming on board next year to get a lot of things into place, so that then we would be ready for the 22-23 school year for our students.
Okay, thank you. It was a very interesting and well done.
Kelly did a great job at committee, and I didn't do it justice.
No, you did great. you did fine, but Kelly really did an outstanding job in her presentation. It was really a very well done program that evening. So there's a lot to this. So those watching at home or in the audience, please realize this was quite a bit of information that we had to absorb and learn quite a bit about. So, so that being said, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions?
I have a quick question for Kelly, Don here. Does this have any impact on our relationship with CEDAL? Like, is CEDAL going to see this and be like, oh, I don't like this?
Thanks, Don. That's a really great question. CEDAL has actually been very supportive about taking programs, taking students back. The mission of a cooperative is to, I'm so sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback, so I'm hearing myself looping. The cooperative intention is always about pooling resources to provide services for students with the most exceptional needs, who tend to be the fewest in number. However, when a district's numbers and programming capabilities allow the district to bring those students back to their community, they fully support that. We've had a very smooth and supportive transition process from CEDAL taking the ELS program back this past year. They were able to help us and provide resources and guidance in many ways. And I would expect nothing less as we move forward with transition.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Again, Kelly, it was a great presentation. Can we have a roll call, please?
Kulkarni. Aye. Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. You got your work cut out for you.
Yay. Oh, good. I was getting bored. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate the support.
Okay, thank you. Next up on the agenda, employment of employees. There's a group of employees here that we have to approve that were discussed in committee this last week.
Move to approve the employment of employees.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Anyone have anything to contribute under other for personnel, program personnel? Nope. Okay, moving on. Turning it back over to President Hessel.
Thank you. We're moving on to the Facilities and Finance Committee. I will turn it over to Casey.
Thank you. Okay. First thing we're looking at is the resolution abating the working cash fund of the district. I know we've discussed this many times. Dan, if you would be so kind as to say a few words, I just want to make sure we all have a really good handle on this.
Yeah, so this is part of moving money from the debt service fund into ultimately the capital project fund to pay cash for our projects. We actually closed on issuing the bonds on the 12th last week. So that was exciting. So that cash was deposited that day, that morning. And so the amount that was deposited was $4,595,750 was deposited. And that is deposited into our working cash fund because it's working cash bonds. And then so now we have to abate it out of working cash into the operations and maintenance fund. And so that's what this resolution does. There's not a hearing required or anything. It's really just approving this resolution. And so that will then allow that money to move into the operations and maintenance fund. And then at the end of the year, the auditors will sweep that into the capital projects fund.
Okay, anybody have any further questions on that? Everybody?
If not, I've got a few slides I can go over again. I'm kidding.
Thank you for kidding. Worried there.
Okay. All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the resolution abating the working cash fund of the district?
So moved.
Okay, roll call.
Sorry.
I thought someone else, yeah, I'm like, I heard someone else say.
Any discussion, further discussion? Okay. Good.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye. Carol? All right, moving on to the resolution authorizing the transfer from the education fund into the operations and maintenance fund.
So similarly, this is ultimately to get money into the capital projects fund to pay back the capital projects fund for this. The ed fund has to pay its portion, and so we're transferring the 7 million from the ed fund to the O&M fund. And so then again, the auditors at the end of the day will take this money from the O&M fund and sweep it into the capital projects fund to zero out the balance as they do every year.
Okay. Any comments or questions about that?
So if I recall our conversation from last week, this is the only legal way for us to move money. And that is why we are doing this, correct?
Yeah, there are many illegal ways. Few legal
Don't go
ways.
there.
Yes.
I did not say that. You did.
Yes, thank you.
We're in the Chicago area. Let's don't go
That's
there.
right.
Set up tonight.
This is basically finalizing a project that this is phase 3 of the three phases for the field house, right? I mean, we have already earmarked this. The 7 million is just paying off, but we've already obligated ourselves to.
Correct. We've already, the cash to pay the project is already out the door. This is just truing up all the books so that everything cancels out. So we only transfer the amount of cash each year to get capital projects to zero. At the beginning of this project, we could have just transferred the 30 million right away, but you never know, say it comes in under budget 2 million, that money is now stuck in that fund. So we always try to get it to zero. So yeah, this is the end. And so unfortunately, we probably won't be closed out on this project by the end of June. And so next year we'll have a little bit of this still, but it won't be nearly the size of the numbers you're seeing. Now we will have it for the field house, but not for this project.
And I just wanted to add that you had reminded us in the committee meeting that moving anything out of the education fund doesn't really impact education negatively. For someone that's new to the board, that was a question I had. And thank you for walking us through all those slides back then.
Good point. Very good point.
Yep,
And
this
thank you
is
for that question,
extra unrestricted fund balance that's not being used for any particular purpose. So.
Right. Okay. Any
So,
other?
Casey, let's just make this point, which we're all making, to bring this all together again. All of the capital projects that we've done, starting with the pool at Libertyville, were designated to be paid out of our existing reserves, right? And so these mechanisms, again, to go to Dan's really terrific explanation, are just what we have to do to be able to make that so, right? To actually do that. So we're not taking more money from taxpayers. This money was all allocated out of existing reserves.
Right. And as Lisa said, these are the only legal ways we can move the money around in order to account for the projects and shore up the books, as Dan said. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the resolution authorizing transfer from the education fund into the operations and maintenance fund?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to a resolution authorizing and directing the transfer of interest from the working cash fund to the education fund. And this is something we do every year.
Right. If we
Dan-
don't do it, we lose it. Isn't that how I remember our
That's
conversation?
That's correct. So on an annual basis, again, right, legal ways to get money in and out of funds. You're allowed legally to transfer the interest out of a particular fund as it earns interest. The two funds we always watch is the debt service fund and the working cash fund. We can transfer that out. And so we do that on an annual basis. So it'll be as of the end of August or end of April, we've had about $15,000 of interest generated. We'll get a little bit more in May and June. So this resolution covers that money because I don't know what it's going to be yet. So whatever that number is, to transfer all of that to the ed fund. Yeah, to the ed
So
fund.
are we not specific in that $15,608.41?
We are very specific because that's the accumulated interest as of April 30th, 2021. And then we indicated plus additional 2 months interest. So we make that pretty explicit in the
I see.
in the language of the resolution.
Okay, good question. Anyone else?
And just a logistical, if we waited until after June to find out how much interest was generated, we're now past the end of June and we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it has to stay there. Okay. No other questions? So can I get a motion for approving the resolution authorizing and directing the transfer of interest from the working cash fund to the education fund?
I'll try it. So moved. My first one, money.
Second. All right, thanks, Don. Roll call, Carol?
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the bid recommendation for LHS fence replacement and traffic barrier gates. Mark?
Thank you. We discussed this project in committee extensively. So the administration is recommended that the board award the LHS fence replacement and traffic barrier gate project to Pro Fence 2 Incorporated in the amount of $17,150 for bid number 1, the fencing, $3,540 for bid number 2 for traffic barrier gate for the east entrance, and $3,850 for bid number 3 for the traffic barrier gate for west entrance, and that is pending village board approval. So. we'd like
When do
to,
we go for that?
Have a plan commission meeting on next Monday, the 24th, and then the following board meeting for the village. We'll get, should have
Will be the
consent
official.
agenda vote on that.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions about this? No? So when we're making the motion, I'm assuming I need to state the exact amounts, correct?
What you can say is accept the bid recommendation as presented, and because Mark
Okay.
just read it off, so
Right.
that'll get referenced.
As long as it's on the record, as long as, Mark or Dan have put it on the record, so,
Is that right,
Okay.
Carol? Is that good?
yep,
Okay.
correct.
All right. Then can I get a motion to approve the LHS fence replacement and traffic barrier gate project to Pro Fence in the amounts stated?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion passes. Roll call, please.
Grumkey,
Aye.
Hessel,
Aye.
Kulkarni,
Aye.
Rooney,
Aye.
Batson,
Aye.
Benjamin,
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. And on to the bid recommendation for LHS Courtyard Classroom Project.
We discussed this at the committee meeting. We did not open a bid till Thursday, May 13th. So just some more background information. We had 3 vendors attend our pre-bid meeting for the project, and we received 3 bids. Our lowest bid was Absolute Home Improvement and Cleaning Services from Highland Park, Illinois, in the amount of $62,850. So I checked references on the company, and we got a letter stating that they honor their bid and understand the project. There is also a $5,000 contingency allowance in that $62,850. And if we do not use any contingency, that will end up as a change order, and the project will cost less money.
And so as a reminder, we talked in committee, this project is largely a building-driven project, so each building is given an allocation to do various projects at their pleasure. And this was a big one for LHS for their building, so we're still finalizing all the funding sources, but the majority of it will be covered under the building budget. But then there's also a few other funding sources, some parent organizations, and the Leaf Club had generated some donations to help with that too. So once we get real numbers, we'll share with that in terms of all the funding sources. So.
Well, this is one time I'm glad to see. This has been talked about since my kids have been there, and I'm glad to see this is happening. A great
Would you just very briefly, nothing extensive, but I'd love to just hear the vision for this project and its projected use. It sounds very intriguing and exciting.
Yes, we're very excited by it. And so the idea is that we had a courtyard that was completely redone to become a living laboratory and an outdoor classroom, and to help not just educate our students, but our community as a whole. Because what we did was we took out all of the turf grass and non-native plants, And we are now, our students in our Leaf Club, with the help of Landscape Concepts Management, has been replacing all of the original plantings with native plants. And they have designed the entire courtyard. When it is complete, it will contain a space for a class of students to sit and discuss and learn together that any teacher can sign out. But it will be largely used by our environmental science students because all of the plants that are in there are native prairie plants. Which will help them do kind of like outdoor labs and kind of collections and plant identifications. We will also have some plans for some indoor signage. So as community members are walking by, they understand just exactly what type of plants they're looking at. And native plants require very little watering. After they're established, very little water, no pesticides are needed. Once you've established, got rid of the weeds, you don't have to do any herbicides in the future as well. So it'll be a healthy outdoor classroom for all students and a targeted laboratory for our environmental science students. And what's really tremendous about it, with the support of the district, of course, our students have been largely doing all of the planting. They have been doing all of the design every week at their Leaf Club and in AP Environmental Science. So we've not only incorporated it as part of a extracurricular, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like when you look out my office window and you see 30 kids out there with shovels and they're out in the dirt and we were hauling mulch 2 years ago. And so the kids really did a lot of the labor to transform it. It's so not only something that they'll get a lot of learning from, but they take a lot of pride in it. In its ultimate design. We think it'll be a showpiece for our school community for many years to come.
Yep. It's a great.
When is this work going to get done?
All of the work is scheduled for this summer, correct, Mark?
Yes, it's scheduled for the summer. Once school lets out, and we want a completion date by the end of July, before school starts back up.
Yeah, the idea is we would have the classroom ready to go next fall.
Super.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make some people happy.
Very much so.
Mark, I just want to reiterate, it always stands out to me when we have bids that vary this much. I mean, the one bid is twice the lowest bid. And I know you already stated this, but for anyone who might be listening, I want to make sure that there's an understanding that you contact these companies and make sure that they understand the scope of the work is matching what we're asking for on those bids.
Correct. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Any comments?
I saw the space on Friday for the first time and it was really, really special. I think just connecting kids with nature and with the outdoors and letting them, for lack of better words, do a little bit of manual labor in an outdoor space and just, oh my gosh, I mean, what an asset to the building and what an asset to our community. It's really going to be, I can't wait to see when it's done because I really think it'll be kind of a gem. I'm not sure so many school communities in the area have something like this. This sets us apart.
Thank you. Anyone else?
All good.
All right.
All good.
Hearing no other comments, can I get a motion to approve the bid recommendation for LHS Courtyard Classroom Project in the amount as stated for absolute home improvement and cleaning services?
So moved.
Thank you. So, second,
Second.
roll call.
Hessel.
Aye.
Kulkarni.
Aye.
Rooney.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Benjamin.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
Drumkey.
Aye. Motion passes. Anything else for other?
Casey, one thing at the committee meetings, we, as Dan kind of went through the budget calendar again, we typically set up a meeting in June and if necessary, another one in July. But so I will be sending you dates tomorrow. So we'll look at I think it's June 14th or the 21st. So either of those dates or those weeks, it doesn't have to be on a Monday, to just do the standalone budget meeting. And then if we had anything at that time that absolutely had to be voted on, then we could do it. I mean, we could also put that on the agenda, but it'll be a very limited agenda, and that will be our focus. And so Dan will do the deep dive on the budget, take any questions that you have. We found that to be very helpful, having standalone budget meetings that we can just focus on that, during our time together. And we'll probably start that meeting, the earlier meeting, so like 6 o'clock or 5:30, based on your schedule. So Dan can do what he needs to do. You can ask your questions, we can answer those. And then we continue that progress on the budget, because remember, for the public, we do the budget, and then right behind that, we're going to be having the levy discussion, or you will be having the levy discussion in the fall, which actually gives us the revenue to fund the budget. So I will send you some dates tomorrow, and then we'll see.
Okay.
On that 2-week period, we'll get together and we'll have that meeting.
All right. I think that's it.
All right. Thank
That
you,
concludes
Chairperson.
facilities and finance.
Thank you, Chairperson Rooney.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any update for the Illinois Association of School Boards?
Just briefly, I believe you all should have received the save the date. The joint annual conference is scheduled. They're going to try to do this in person, November 19th through 21st. For the new board members or those board members who haven't been able to attend this in the past, it's a terrific conference. It's 3 groups that co-sponsor this. It's the Illinois Association of School Boards, which we're a member, the Illinois Association of School Administrators, and the Illinois Association of School Business Officials, which folks like Dan participate in. And it's a great event. They have national guest speakers, keynote speakers. It's tons of sessions. You can learn so much. For newer board members, they have sessions on Friday that are a little more in depth on different topics, and even some of the required training I know that has to take place as you become a board member. But hopefully this will happen in person, and we'll be able to do this in a healthy way and get back to the conference. It's a great networking opportunity, just great learning opportunity. So it's usually the weekend before Thanksgiving. So it's an annual event that many of us have attended many times. So just wanted to put that on the radar.
Thank you. And I echo your sentiment. It's a very worthwhile expenditure of time. It has been really wonderful in my continuing education as a new board member, and it's got something for everyone. So.
And I think one of the other things about that, it's everything that you said, Jim and Casey or Lisa. The other thing is it provides perspective, right? I think Casey and Lisa and I have had this discussion before, Don. It provides you perspective of how fortunate we are to be in the school district that we're in, and some of the struggles that school districts have across the state. So that perspective is always important for us as educators, but it's important, I think, for us as schools administrators and also for school board members. And so it's a great bonding opportunity for the overall school communities, I think, in the state.
Great. Thank you. Kara Benjamin, any CEDAW update to share with us?
Also very brief. So the quarterly CEDAW meeting is happening on June 2nd. And the main item on the agenda is to preliminarily approve the 21-22 budget for CEDAW. As the representative, in case anyone's wondering, who's new to the board, like myself. There are, like I said, quarterly meetings. So I will be doing this quarterly and reporting back. In the meantime, I'm working to establish good working relationships with Kelly Hartwig, as well as Val Donnan, who's the superintendent of CEDAW. And so I'm looking forward to learning as much as I can and supporting our students as the representative.
Okay, great. And I think as an educator, your experience is going to be very valuable in bringing us information and synthesizing and asking questions about that very valuable partnership. So thank you.
It's helpful to know all the acronyms already.
You
Of
speak
which
the
there are
language.
many.
Oh, there's more to come. There's
The
more. to come.
acronyms,
Yes, it never ends.
they're never ending, right, in education.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our agenda. So if I can ask for a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second?
any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Kulkarni,
Aye.
Rooney,
Aye.
Batson,
Aye.
Benjamin,
Aye.
Carmichael,
Aye.
Drumkey,
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye. All right, thank you. The
Thank
meeting
you.
Good night.
is adjourned.